The writing is so small on my screen, my eyes are not that good, so I have to keep um, a tablet running next to me that never works ever. Anytime I want it to, this thing is cursed. So I try to keep something going. So when I'm looking over here like this, aside from being super easily distracted, I'm just trying to make sure that everything is going on. In the episode before this one, as some of you may recall, I found out I had been talking for like 15 minutes when the screen was actually sideways. So I had to go back and fix that. My phone was stuck on portrait mode or something. I kept wondering what the hell was wrong, but I couldn't figure it out. And then I was informed you're sideways. So hopefully today I'm not sideways. I don't know, it doesn't look like I'm sideways, but I'm sideways. Look on me sideways. Okay. Well, it's been a minute, so I'm glad to be back. I hope you all had a really good holiday season. I did. I'm a Christmas lover. I love everything. I think, the decorations and the lights and all that. And I used to have the kind of time where I could decorate my house like a Hallmark store, but those days are over. So I just have to look back at old videos and photos and remember when and how things were. Plus, also a few years ago, we had a really bad flood in my house. The water softener just blew up, I guess. And I walked down there one day and I'm thinking, I smell water. This is great. And I step into ankle deep water, whole basement flooded. And we're still repairing from that. Like when you try to go through your insurance to do anything, it's a nightmare. So it was a few years ago and it's still not 100% back in order. And even as I sit here in Spaum here, where I broadcast from my pillow nest, I still have, things that belong in the basement sitting around me. So, not ideal, but maybe someday I'll be able to get back to having all my nice decorations around. Then it'll just be a matter of never having the time to do it. Um, I really get into it though, even though I don't have time, to do pretty much anything else. I'm just usually so busy doing things, doing the holiday things that whatever projects I'm working on, whether it be paintings or writings, whatever I'm working on, I usually have to put aside for the month of December. No matter whatever I'm doing, the month of December is just astronomically busy for me. I'm just far too busy making thousands of cookies and eating gourmet cheeses. So I don't really get to do as much work on things as I would like to get to do. Um, but that actually I kind of appreciate that time because, it's pretty much the only thing that'll get me off of my um, one track mind when it comes to finishing or doing things. And I'm so close in the process now of the Buster book that I kind of don't want to think about anything else or do anything else. I just really, really get really hyper focused on things like that. And it gets to where when I get really super excited about being close to finished on something, so it's like all I think about is just like get it done, get it done, get it done. So if December didn't come around, I'd probably never have a break at all. So I give myself a little bit of a break, plus also have to do other things. But that really works out for me for the fact that I like to have that minute to get away from whatever project I'm on because, this one in particular, I've been on for so long now. First with the one that got thrown out and then the new one. It's now been several years. And I obviously love Buster. I love the world and Buster's world and learning about him and this and that and creating things about Buster, but I think I've mentioned this before. I'm looking forward to having a Buster break, so I do have more things coming along, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But I didn't not do anything. I just really didn't get, except for around the beginning of the month, I got, I think, one new scene written. I basically have it all done. It's just I'm in the process now of kind of thickening things up a little bit, and that's basically where I am. But now that I've had this little break, and even though I love the holidays, I'm glad they're over because you have to get back to your regular routine to get any rest, right? So I'm working my way back into things. I'm doing this again, and I'm getting to where I kind of can get my head back around it because when I first stopped working, I really am still like, I'm supposed to be doing something. I got to do something. So what am I not doing? Like that false start thing you do over and over and over again, where you think you're supposed to be somewhere, you're supposed to be doing something. So it takes almost like a week for me to get out of that mode, even though I have, just perpetually reminding myself, no, you're fine, everything's fine, it's fine, it's fine, 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 fine. So I finally got to where I could just kind of chill, but now I'm getting to the point where I'm about ready to get back to it sometime in the next couple of days. And I'm at the point in the process where the research pretty much never stops. That's the thing. Like, there's always a new thing that comes up. There's always something I want to double check on. There's always something that comes to mind that I'm like, did I write that at the right time, or did this happen before that happened? Because as I said before, sometimes it's a matter of hours and days where I'm tracking what's going on. And it's, I don't want to make you think that it's like a diary. I'm really like, I'm writing what happens every day for like 20 plus years. It's not like that. It's just that sometimes, for my own sake, I get confused and I have to rely on my notes, and my notes are so dense that they're color coded, like the where's, the whens, the hows, what projects, what contributions, this, that, and the other. And everything that I do takes tons of research, of course. I'm generally in fiction, but it'll be like, if it's a historical fiction thing, then that takes tons of research. And it's not like you're an expert at every single thing you ever want to write about. Like, you educate yourself. And it just so happens that with the Buster stuff, I've been working on it, what he's had done, and when he did it for, I've been doing it for like 13 years now. So I just happen to have an edge on that. And now I'm kind of homogenizing it all into one package. And now I'm glad that I had the break and it's over, because I can go back to it. But at the same time, I was able to take little bits of time and do research on things and, clarify some things for myself. Because there's always, towards the, I don't want to say the very end of his life, but, like very much latter in his life, he and Eleanor were very, very busy. It was moving from thing to thing to thing very, very quickly. So it's easy to mix things up. And I'm pretty clear on things, as that goes. But it's still something you don't want to mess up. And I don't exactly know how it's going to hit the market yet. So I don't know if I will have... if I'll be working as my own fact checker, which I'll do a million times, or if I will have an independent fact checker looking at it as well. But I mean, in this kind of situation, it's kind of hard to have an independent fact checker, I think, because you want that input, but at the same time, you're like, no, I'm right, so. Anyways, the good news is that I've gotten past in the writing stage of making any big mistakes of whens and wheres. Every time I check on something, I'm usually right. There was a lot of time in the very beginning where I kind of forget what I was doing and how regimented it had to be. And I would go off on a creative tangent and realize none of this is right. I'm just writing. I'm just doing what I do. So this has been a major, major learning curve for me to do all of this. But I really think that the research and my ability to research as well as I do and find out whatever it is that I want to know, and rarely have an answer if I don't know, because I don't like that. I want to know whether I need the information or not. I needs to know. So it's just how I am. I'm very, I don't know if that's a control freak type of a thing, but it's just, I gotta know. I need to know. I don't want to sit here and say I don't know to myself, so I don't want to say it to somebody else. So I don't know doesn't work for me. So that whole thing, that whole notion, which I've talked about a little bit in the past, is that that was really born out of doing genealogy, especially very, very early in life. Because I started when, it was a family thing. My mom did it, my dad got into it, and it was, our thing, a thing we did. Not, for religious convictions or anything, like the Mormons believe that it's part of their, history and everybody's history. That wasn't us. It was just something we just wanted to know because they wanted to know. So that's where that comes from. But if you learn how to research really well early, especially, and I'm talking before internet days. Yeah, I'm that old. That there was a before internet in my life where you had to go to record rooms and do microfiche and all these kinds of things and look up books and go to libraries and places you never even heard of, teeny weeny little towns and stuff. So, that being said, it kind of got me thinking that, and especially there, I don't know if some of you, I know since a lot of you are like history people like I am, you probably checked out the first episode of Finding Your Roots that came on new season the other day. It was pretty good. And it kind of got me thinking that like the way that genealogy is done these days, it kind of makes you think that you have to pay tons of money to Ancestry.com, or that you have to surrender your DNA if you want to find out anything. And that's just not true. And I know a lot of people are really interested in getting into genealogy, but they're not like sure about where to begin, or, you know, that kind of a thing. So I'm thinking about, I don't exactly have a plan for this yet, you know, and this whole thing is talking to myself in a room alone to my phone. It's all pretty new to me anyway. This is my third episode ever. So I'm thinking about, like, you know, what I could kind of lend some expertise towards. And I think sometime in the future I will do an independent video about how to get into it if you're new to it, or if you've never done anything but you want to know where to begin, or if you know a little bit and you want to know how to go further. Because the one thing that I can definitely tell you without putting up any paywalls or anything like that is that there is ways to do it that won't cost you money, or gatekeep the information. There are free sites, there are, you know, there's all kinds of things. So don't waste your money on Ancestry.com, and hold on to your DNA. And I'll talk about good and safe ways to do all that kind of stuff. So we'll get into that. That's something I'm thinking about doing coming up in the future. Before I forget, one little thing I like to do, I don't run ads on this, or any of my videos, and I don't want, you know, weird things like fart in a cup running under my face while I'm trying to talk. You know, I'm not serious enough as it is, but I don't need any help. So, I don't do that, and I don't have like a donation button or anything like that. But if you are in the market for vegan organic products like soaps and bar soaps and that kind of thing, salt scrubs and bath bombs and pet bars and all kinds of stuff like that, I do sell that stuff. I make them with these two hands, and that would help, you know, that helps. So we can make a trade, I guess, if you're into this content and you want to support the channel. And I also have tons and tons and tons and tons of art on Redbubble, and I'll put both of the links of those two things in. And then if you don't know what Redbubble is, independent artists put their artwork up onto the website, and then they provide it on all manner of products, every kind of clothing item you can think of: skirts, dresses, hoodies, jackets, t-shirts of all kinds, stationery, bed sets, the bed stuff, bed sets, you know, anything you could think of, they got. So, and I do, if you've seen my Buster portrait, I do portrait work, and I'll have a little bit to say about some of that here coming up in a minute. But that's just, you know, the formal stuff I wanted to make sure I get out of the way. That if you do like any of the content I'm making, I make tons of it. You know, there's art, there's soap, there's movies, there's books, there's whatever the hell this is. So if you're into the stuff that I do, I definitely have places where you can get the things and the stuff and the things. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, I don't like to do that either, by the way. I kind of feel like I've got the means, like, it's, why wouldn't I say something? I should say something, right? Like, so whatever, buy something or don't. It's not a get off my lawn kind of thing. No obligations and nothing like that. So as I was saying, I didn't really get a whole lot of writing in this month. But it happens that way, and it's December. This is what December does to you. So, but I was able to at least keep up with the research, and I'm the kind of writer who, writes in sequence, which means I just write in order. So this might be a little bit of a writing tip to those of you who are also, and I might do an episode about that as well, because I'm very, very adamant about the fact that, I really, truly believe that art is for everyone, and writing is for everyone, and journaling is for everyone, and I will die on that hill, because I don't care if you're 70 years old or 900 years old or 8 years old, it's for you. You can do it. there are no rules. So I will talk about some art stuff and that kind of thing. Probably also in some very special episodes coming up, as I try to figure out whatever this is that I'm doing. I just know that there's a lot of Buster fans out there that are kind of interested in what it is that I do and how I do it. And I usually people have like one thing that they do really well. I have like a million things that I do probably pretty well. So I just try to bring it all in. But as far as any of that goes, with my process, because now that I can kind of talk about it a little easier. It's difficult to know what to say and what not to say because I don't want to give too much away, but I also don't want to be too vague. I know that there are several of you who are interested, would like to know everything. Well, that's coming. It's coming. I really also don't have any kind of release date information yet. We're still in the process, but the good news is there's more done than there isn't done. And I'm in a stage now where, as I go along, I don't just like immediately think like, chapter 1 and get started. No, like I get just like everybody else, all writers have their processes, all artists have their processes. So just as I get my idea going, I start to make an outline for it, and I get going on the outline by kind of just filling in ideas into blank spots, and sometimes it's writing entire scenes. And hello, what did that say? Somebody said something to me. See, I'm so easily distracted. I'm sorry if you said something to me. It's not showing up on my tablet. I hate this damn thing. So, oh, hello from Indiana. Yes, hello to Indiana. Hello. Thank you for checking in, Indiana. But just, in the sake of trying to explain how this all comes about and how, whether it's a fictional work or whether it's this whole new non-fictional work, I still have to work within my parameters. Like I wasn't going to be able to write, a standard biography or anything like that. This is new to me, but as I've mentioned before, I'm still structuring it in the way of it being a non-fiction novel. So there's going to be the structure. It'll be like you are reading a fiction novel, but the information is going to be, I'm going for an accuracy rate of like, well, obviously I'd love it to be 100, but we all know that that's not possible. So I'm trying to get as close to that as possible. And I think when all is said and done, with the inclusions of the moments of just unbridled creativity where I just can't contain myself, we're probably going to be at about an 85-90% accuracy rate. So I hope. And I know it won't be for everybody, of course, and that's totally cool. But I have put so much work into this at this point that I really hope it's just not like blurring paint together and it actually comes out in a coherent thing. So what I've got coming up is I'm going to be, in the next few days, getting back into it. And I'm at the point in the process where, I've got this crazy amount of notes, this huge thing going on. But I'm kind of done with all of that at this point because I do have a finished story. So what I'm doing now is I've also been through like the first full read through edit. And when I get to that stage, when I've got the whole thing done, like, because when I write the notes out in the outline, that's not all necessarily in sequence. Like that's kind of like where you get your ideas, you're kind of bouncing back and forth, that kind of a thing. So I do that, but then when I actually write it down, like when I'm chapter 1, here we go, like then I'm writing it in order. So that's all done. Then the first read through has been all finished, and then I'm at the part now in my process where I'm making another list. Geminis love lists. I make lots of lists. But I'm at the stage where I basically have a punch list of, well, I could use a scene like this here, and this is a little too back-to-back, and this part's vague, and, just kind of things like that, like, where you could say page 18, or beginning of chapter 3, no, that kind of stuff. So I've done some initial editing, and some initial read-through-ing, but I'm at the point now where I'm going back through it, and just kind of hitting certain places, and kind of thickening the story up, so to speak, to get the story that I want. Because, I think if anybody read it the way it is now, I think they'd be fine with it. It's not a bad story. It's just that, you know, you as the creator, you want it to be the best it can be, and it's never gonna be, ever, no matter what. It's just a fact that you have to accept. And then, like, down the road after it's finished, and you're like, oh, I should have added that scene. I'm so stupid. So there's that. But I'm trying to be as thorough as possible with it, and I've got I want to say about half a dozen scenes planned, new scenes that aren't in the draft right now, that I'm going to be writing fresh in certain places. So as I'm finishing it, I am writing some new scenes, and I'm bringing some people in some certain places, and I'm super excited about that. It's not exclusively, it's about Buster and Eleanor's doings. It's about, you know, his family, the Keatons, and it's about the Kellys, and it's about their friends, and you know, their social gatherings are, you know, very, very social. They kind of walk the line of being super social, but also wanting their me time at home, you know. They got to that point. So they really valued both. But, you know, back in those days, you couldn't entertain yourself with internet or TV nearly as much. So, you know, you socialized quite a bit more in person. So that's where I'm at right now. It's just adding these things in, and I'll give you a little inside tip. Because I'm so excited about it. As I write these real people, like if I was writing imaginary people, like I would hear how they sound in my mind, and I do write in vernacular, which is like writing words phonetically, not like we are going to go to the grocery store, but more like we're going to go to the grocery store, you know, the way that a person would say it, especially depending on their regional accent. There are very, very mild differences, like, you know, when you say, oh, a southern accent, well, that varies from location to location, so sometimes you have to kind of think about it a little bit more. And there's no southern accents in this, I'm just giving that as an example. But what I learned very early on is that I'm writing for real people, so I want to make sure I have it firm in my head what their cadences are like, what they sound like when they talk, what kind of words they use, that kind of thing. So I researched that as well. I listened to them talk, and not just like their performance voices, but their, you know, voices in interviews, or you know, maybe a written interview even, just to see their, like, you know, their verbiage, their vernacular, you know, that kind of thing. So I can even just accurately depict the people. And so it's not exactly a spoiler, but I'm excited about this. So I've got a scene. Even though I've been not really been able to commit it to paper, I've been working on this scene in my mind for about a month, where about a visit from Cliff Edwards, Ukulele Ike. And I've always just loved him too. He, you know, he's so fun, and he and Buster were good friends. They're pretty much their entire adult lives. And he was a really unique character, to say the least. And they had a fun relationship. I mean, and he didn't, you know, the end of his life wasn't of the best of circumstances, but, you know, I get to put that in there, essentially. I get to put that idea into, I get to put that into context of what their relationship was like, how they were together, and which also does come through on screen when you see them together, which is super cool. But I don't have that scene written yet. It's still in my head, up in the dome, but I'm looking forward to being able to bring that one forward. Yeah, someone just told me, for example, it's a great example. You will hear, and this is a Midwestern thing, particularly an Indiana thing, because remember that you do pick up your accent from your peers, but you also pick it up from your family. And Buster's father and all his family was from Indiana, the Wabash area, Terre Haute in particular. And they, there's a very stringent Indiana accent. It also changes a little bit from north to south, but as this person just mentioned, Buster, you do hear him do it quite a bit. Instead of saying wash, he says wash, like, or Washington. And that's something that I really don't have that accent. I'm really more of a metro Indiana person, but there is definitely some little hallmarks you hear that I can tell you. I mean, I might not like lay that out in the book or anything, but I can tell you, there's some Indiana things there. And he didn't really have what you would call, peers like schoolmates. So much of his accent, even as an adult, came from, hearing it through his parents and visiting, family and things like that. But that also differs quite a bit from, like, when you're having your stage presence and you speak clearly and loudly and you project and all this and that. So kind of bringing this on home, um, that's what I mean. Like, for instance, I don't know off the top of my head if I have him say "wash" at any point. I might just have to throw that in there somewhere so we can be like, haha, we talked about that. A wink with both eyes. Haha, we talked about that, We're on the level, right? So there's that. That's where I'm at right now. Kind of up in the head, kind of head full of ideas, kind of waiting to get through. But also not trying to ruin the fun of the holiday by just trying to get back to work as fast as possible. So that's where I'm at right now. Just trying to chill, trying to make myself have a good time, try to get out of that anxiety, must create mode. It also it drives me kind of crazy when I'm stuck on one project for so long because I really like to float from thing to thing. It's just kind of the way my mind works. Like if I'm writing and writing and writing, yeah, cool, but I also miss getting to do art, and I also miss maybe I'm not being able to give my soap company as much time. The soap company is so small. It's just me making soap and selling it to my friends, and they like it. So I do the best I can, just kind of floating things. And it's like, oh, there's housework to be done, forget it. Like that. And I'm really bad about remembering little tasks. Like if I know I need to go to clean up the cat box. It's like I got to start like a week early, reminding myself, go and do it, go and do it, go and do it, because I'm gonna remember and forget 100 times. And I will walk past something, like, oh, put the dish in the dishwasher, put the dish in the dishwasher, put the dish in the dishwasher. Like I'll walk by it 100 times before I actually remember to do it. So I'm really bad about little bitty things like that. So I'm in constant revolver mode all the time, like move from one thing to the next, and I can mentally handle that load. It's just when I get kind of stuck in one thing where I start to feel kind of bogged down. That's really more the issue for me. Is if I can't stretch my mind and do these, kind of challenge myself to think and to create, and I don't get to express myself and all the ways that I generally like, then I start to kind of, and I don't want to convey the wrong message about feeling that way about this book, because I did at one time when it was going all wrong and I had to, write a new one. Um, which is still, that kind of blows my mind a little bit. Like that's really not something that happens very often, but it happened. And I'm glad for it, but, it's still difficult when I'm close to the end of something and I'm just ready to move on from it and do more things. Especially, I mean, I know I've said this before, but I've got non-Buster things in the works as well. And I've got more Buster things in the works, which I can tell you a little bit about something new. I told you about that coming up. I'm going to have after this, I'll be working on a cookbook, and which I've also never done before. So we'll see how that goes. So I'll be doing a cookbook, and I will be doing hopefully a book of my own Buster artworks, because for all these years I've been doing for various things in various ways and in various styles, tons of different artwork with Buster, and I see that a lot. Even the Buster Keaton Society on their socials, and I think it's Fridays, they have like a Friday artwork thing, something like that, or someday something like that, where they will post stuff that different artists have made of Buster, and you see just this massive variety of different takes, and it's really neat. And Buster, I think, just is a really good muse for physical art, like for actual like drawings, paintings, that kind of a thing. And then when I did the movie, that's why you see all that artwork from fans, and that's sort of when that movement was just starting. And I really was like, I need to draw this in. I need to see for myself, but also show people how he's being re-represented in art, you know, there may be only so many articles that you could write. There maybe only so many books that can be written, but he can be re-expressed in art over and over and over and over again. And from what I know about him now, which is pretty personal at this point, I feel like it's not off the mark if I say that I think he would think that was really cool. You know, so to be immortalized in people's art over and over again, from children. I've seen little kid art, all, you know, when they're first seeing the first shorts and reelers and things like that, all the way up to professional artists. And I was fortunate enough to be featured on the, I guess it was the summer edition of the Keaton Chronicle, and the cover, my work. So for myself, I'd like to be able to take all of these of my own works and get them into one place and get it into like a tabletop book type of a thing. But I have another thing that kind of I recently just kind of solidified in my mind, and not totally, but you know, the gears are turning. I can't give too much of it away yet, but I will say that it's going to be something that when I'm able to get to it and create it and finish it and do it, it will be interactive, and every single person who I guess purchases it or participates with it will be able to do something with it in their own way. And that's all you get for now, because it's still in the baby phase and not really something that I should say too much about at this point. But I could tell you it's never been done before, like this book that I'm on now, and that you will be able to manipulate and interpretate it in your own way. So that's coming. And when I say this, though, as you can see how long this has taken, this has been kind of an exceptional situation. It does take me years to write a book, but we're really talking usually more like 3 years top to bottom finished product. This has gone on a little longer than that, and mostly because of the setbacks. So when I get this finished, which I do believe is more a matter of months now than years at this point, because I swear I would jump off the roof if it was years. I can't keep going this way. But I will have basically what you can look forward to from me is Buster content for the foreseeable future down the road. I mean, I may be, depending on release dates and finishing things and the things that come in between and all of, you know, life, we might be talking about 10 years more worth of content here. And I've always intended to go on with Buster indefinitely anyways into the future. I just also want to do some other things. So more Buster stuff is coming. You will, from me, always have something on the way, I think. And I'm happy to do that, and I'm excited to do that, and I've gotten a lot of great support, and you know, the Buster fandom is, you know, made up of some really excellent people that you know, when you get into a lot of fandoms, it's in your creator, you spend a lot of the time sorting through messages getting told to drink bleach, you know. So this is not something I have experienced through the Buster fandom and Buster enthusiasts. They're mostly just like, ooh, what you got, you know. So, and I appreciate that as a creator. I really appreciate that, because you encourage me and you keep going, and I like to do that a lot. So you will have more things coming, not just this book, you know, because there was the movie, and there's been artwork over the years, and I've done a couple interviews and this, that, and the other. So so keep your eye on the future. The future's so bright. Put on the sunglasses. Or something like that. Okay, well, that's basically what I've got for you for Buster right now. I do have a couple of other little things I'd like to talk about other things that I'm doing while I have your attention. I have kind of this weird problem. My computer that I use for everything, writing, art, everything, it's an older model, but it's, you know, works like a champ, and I love it, and I'm not really ready to trade it in yet. But it got this problem where, and I'm really bad about like hardware, like computer hardware. I'm just not like that super savvy about that kind of stuff. But it got this problem where it like has this kind of red cast, like kind of spotty redness across the screen. And like if you would move it back and forth or kind of shift it around, it would kind of go in and out like a short. And there was a period of time, it's been like that for a couple of years. And it's been a period of time where you could kind of make it go away, but now it just won't go away. And the reason I mention that is because it's kind of put me in a spot when it comes to artwork. Like you say, okay, well, don't want to trade it in yet, go have it fixed. Well, I would and I will, except that it's my hub, so to be without it for even, a couple days or maybe even a few weeks, like that's going to take some serious consideration and planning. So from what it looks like, I have to have the whole screen replaced. And I can do my like abstract arts and my patterns and stuff, anything that's like solidly colored or maybe black and white. But when it comes to my portrait work, I'm kind of stuck on being able to do that. I don't really have the time right now anyway, finishing the book, so it's sort of like whatever. But when you make stuff, you want to keep making it. And my portrait style, I've really only been doing for a couple of years. I really it took all this time to develop that. And every time I do anything, it's always like, I wonder if I can do that. Me trying to answer that question and then finding out how do you do it, and then coming up with my own way. So like writing and art and like everything I do, I'm self-taught. I never took courses on these things. I mean, I had art classes in school as a kid, but I also had music classes in school as a kid, and like can't music. So it's just things that you work out on your own if you're interested, and you think you could do it. So I'm kind of at an impasse with the art, which I hate. But I can make some stuff, and I do have some new things coming out, but it's more like solid colored things, like or monochrome things, not anything that with a subtle skin tone or anything, because I just can't physically see the detail because of the red cast on my screen. So the reason this matters is because eventually I will have to have it fixed, because I am going to want to make more art, and I'm going to want to make that Buster book of my artwork. And I'll have, because some of those things have been released to the internet over the years, and some I haven't released, and some I haven't made yet but have in mind. And if it's a book, I'll want to have new stuff in there. So eventually I'm going to have to do something about it and just, let it go. I'm not going to want to have to do it, but I'll figure out some sort of home improvement project I can do in the meantime to keep myself sane. But the reason I mention it is because, I have made, on Facebook a gallery of just my magical realism style paintings. And what that is like, I don't want to say photorealism, because that's not the same thing, but like if you're not sure what that means, it's just like likenesses, like, and it's not always just people, but it's like strong likenesses, let me say it that way. Like it's like looking at a photo, but it's a portrait of a person. Like it's no Picasso or something like that. It's like it is what you see, and it's a highly detailed portrait. And then my style is called magical realism, because what I do is I like to represent things a little better than maybe they are in reality. For instance, one of my favorite things of all time is Glinda the Good Witch from Wizard of Oz. And if you ask somebody, you'll be like, oh, what was her dress color? Well, they're going to say pink, right? It's actually not. It's peach. It's a peach color. It was actually, parts of it were recycled from another movie. I can't remember what it was, and I may have talked about this a little bit, so I'll, wrap it up here. But if you ask somebody what they remember, they're going to tell you it was pink. And so I'm not concerned with it being accurate in the way that, no, it was peach, and painting it peach, because I have a full body portrait of her. That's my first main, not my first realism portrait, but my first main person magical realism. So I enhanced, the color of the dress and made it into a color that I wanted people to remember, to match up with their memory, and that's how I've approached all of my artwork. Is I do certain things to it to bring out certain features where your memory, or how you might dream it, kind of intersect. And because it's a new style for me and I really enjoy doing it, I'm not getting to do it as much as I want to, and I've got all these ideas that I want to get to. So I don't have, it's kind of limited what I've got. But what I'm going to be doing the next couple of days is making the gallery public. So if you go over to my Facebook page, you used to be able to have a shareable link. I'm not sure about that anymore. I'll look about sharing it on my other socials. I think, don't do that. Hey, don't do that. Sorry, that's Pan. Don't, no, buddy. No. Don't do that. Don't climb things, please. Okay. If I can't climb things, I'll just leave. So yeah, I'm kind of in an impasse with art, but I'm also going to be releasing the stuff that I was able to do before the screen went totally puh. And in the future, I'll be able to do more. So that's something that's coming. And you could see what I've done as I kind of developed this skill. So if you're into art, or you're just into, because it's mostly like movies and TV stuff and music, like, things like that, like things that I like. So, I've got the Buster portrait, but I've also got, one of, Quint from Jaws, and, Walter and Dude from Big Lebowski, and, Baby Mac and Me, and I've done 59 Cadillac, Pink Cadillac, and there's a lot of stuff that I've done, but I just haven't got to everywhere that I've done it. So that's something I've got coming up for you guys. I realize that you can't be Buster all the time, and I don't have something Buster for you all the time, so I like to just try to, like, if I got something I can do, I try to throw it out there. So if you want to check out my gallery, I'll see about having a shareable link. I'm not sure, but I know that Twitter is really an upheaval right now, and I'm seeing people leave right and left. I was never super big into it in the first place, so I really don't have a big following there that I'm leaving hanging or anything. So it seems right now, even though I'm not a super fan of this either, I guess the best way to connect with me is Facebook at this point. Just do what you do, though. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr. Just do what you do. And I just like 2 days ago, I started a TikTok so that I could let people there know when I'd be here. I don't really know what to do with that yet. So I'm trying to keep up with the kids at this point. So I'm doing my best. But I put one out earlier tonight to say that I was going to be on. So if you want to do TikTok, or maybe have some suggestions on what you want to see from me there, like, should I show an art there or something? I don't know. I'm trying my best. But that's something I'm going to have coming up next couple days. I'm not exactly sure a release day, but you'll be able to actually see some of my paintings, because they're not all on Redbubble, and you can't really, if you're not trying to buy, you just want to look, that's not a really good place for that. That's really meant for sales. The only thing I will say is like FYI, I put watermarks over my paintings because they're really, really large, and I don't want, I just don't want them stolen. I mean, I know that's not going to stop them, but it's like, at least it would stop people from making money off of it, and I need that. So it's mine. So, when you see it, it'll have like little starbursts all over it, kind of faintly. That's not my style or anything. I hate doing that. It's like intentionally ruining a painting. So, but they all will have that. And I will, however I am able to do it, will add to it over time. And there will be more out there. And like I say, there's some that if you just go to my Redbubble, you won't see them there. So I'm opening that gallery pretty soon. I sound like, oh, come to my gallery opening in Los Angeles. No, it's just on Facebook. It's a Facebook, what do you call it? Photo archive thing, photo gallery. So we could act like it's cool. We could act like it's cool. It's fine. It's totally cool. And that's about all I have for you guys. I got one more, thing that I'm doing, or I'm gonna let social media continue to colonize my time. 2 weeks from today, the 19th, at this time, I'm starting a new, I guess, sub-series to this. And for those of you who know me, or I may have mentioned this briefly, I'm not really super sure about it, but if you've heard of the Million Movie Project, that's me. I've been doing it for 15 years. And it was, at first it was like, it was kind of before social media when that all started. And it was basically just like this ongoing database of movies and miniseries and things like that I watch and review. And like when I watched it, because I just kind of realized around that time, like I could remember everything that I'd seen, and I really just wanted to do something with that knowledge. So I created a database and the project, Million Movie Project. And people always say, well, you can't watch a million movies in your lifetime. And then I say, well, the 50,000 movie project doesn't sound as good. So that's why it's Million Movie Project. And then I kind of morphed that into a Tumblr blog. So if you know that blog, that's me. And I've had that for like 10 years, and I just got it back recently. So, and there, what I post there, it's like a curated thing and original content, and it's like probably like 85% movie TV stuff, and then some other just rad shit that I see and I like. So, you can follow me there. And that's where the weird comes out, as everyone knows. But I'm gonna start like a sub episode thing for talking about some of these reviews finally, and kind of bringing them forward into like a new, more useful capacity, because if it's just sitting there in the database, it's really, yeah, you know. And I used to write reviews, but I don't have time for that. So what I'm gonna do is, starting the 19th, 8 p.m. here, I'm gonna start with a series review for the show Animal Kingdom. Not the Disney one about actual animals, but the TNT show that just wrapped up a couple months ago. Well, actually it was like August. It finished its 6-season run. And it was, I'm not going to talk too much about it right now, because I'm going to go super deep, and it's going to be spoiler laden. So, it's going to be the introductory episode of some review things I'm going to do, and some TV talk going on, about, TVs, movies, things like that I like. Probably mostly TV miniseries centered, because I'm kind of frustrated with movies, because TV's really taking over, I think you'd say, with all the streamings and all this and that and whatever they figure out. And I don't know how long it's going to be until they just all merge together and reinvent cable. But I really, really love the long format storytelling you get from television shows. I'm a television fanatic. I'm a storytelling fanatic. I do it and I enjoy it. And I had heard about Animal Kingdom was on for 6 seasons. I found out about it in its last season. I had heard about it ambiently. I remember the commercials going on. I remember them being like, Dennis Leary is joining the cast. And I was like, oh, neat. And who I like. But I still just, I don't know. It didn't click. And then finally I saw it on Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it there in full now. And I watched this show, and I watched the whole first episode, like, because I really didn't know, like, where it was going to go. It, like, every moment was kind of like, what is this? What is this? Until you really start getting into it. And it's, I got to put myself on a short leash here, because I could just go on about it forever. Because what I found out about this show was, I think it could be a contender for best show made so far, honestly. Like, and you'd be like, I've never even heard of it. How is that possible? Well, I will tell you on the 19th. Tune in. And I try to keep these videos a little bit short, but they never work out that way. They always work out for an hour. I don't know how long that one's going to be. I have a lot to say, so it could be a lot. So if you've seen it, come and watch. And if you haven't seen it, do not watch. It is not the kind of thing you want spoiled for you. So go and watch it on Amazon Prime or on the TNT app or what the crap ever. Just go find it. Google it. There's a movie by the same name. The show is based on the movie, and it's an Australian movie. That's not what I'm talking about. I haven't watched the movie. I don't want to. And there's also a show called Animal Kingdom that's a Disney show about actual animals. That's probably cool, but that's also not what I'm talking about. This show was on TNT for 6 seasons, and it is incredible. And I cannot wait to talk about it. And I'm going to spoil the hell out of it. So it's so cerebral. It's just next level. And that's what's coming up as far as this goes. So that'll be the first episode of that. And then from then on, I'll talk about some different shows I like what I'm into, what I'm not so far, what I'm not enjoying. And other series too. And since it's a new thing and everybody kind of watches things in their own time now, it won't necessarily be like brand new. It'll be like things that, that are going on, because like I said, I found out about Animal Kingdom in its last season and watched the whole thing, like binged it as much as I could. But also I want you to savor it. It was so good. So I'm really looking forward to talking about that. I finished it probably a month and a half or so ago, and I wanted to do a show of some kind about it. So I will be. And that will be like a Million Movie Project presents spoilers for Animal Kingdom series review. It'll be the whole series I'll be reviewing. But that is about all I have for you today. And I see I'm at the 50-minute mark, which I did not want to do, but I guess I can always manage to find something to talk about when there's nothing to talk about. So I will be back for first Thursday of the month next month for another one of whatever this is, and then hopefully we'll have some more progress to talk about. And hold on, I'm getting a note here. Yeah, okay, so I was just asked, will I do Centennial? Yes, I will talk about Centennial. It's very old, from the 70s, but it's best miniseries ever made, and it's my favorite book. So I will talk about stuff from forever. I don't have a problem with that. For me, like, if, you know, you can like music and movies and TVs from forever. My favorite show of all time is Bonanza, and I am going to talk about Bonanza coming up. Yeah, yes, and Star Trek and Dark Shadows and all kinds of things, because it's a lot of it's out there ready to be seen by people for the first time, be seen again. So I'm going to TV you. I'm going to TV you hard, and you're going to like it. So if you haven't started Animal Kingdom yet, get on it. But if you haven't finished it in 2 weeks, you probably won't. And if you haven't, don't tune into that episode. But if you have, do tune into that episode, and I will see you guys in a couple of weeks, and then a couple weeks after that for another one of these, and from forever, I guess. I mean, here we are doing internet. So all right, I will see you. Goodbye. Have a good 2 weeks. Until next time.